Hey y'all, it's Ellen.
And I'm Sam.
Last year, we started Journeys of Self-Discovery and Healing. And now, we're bringing you along.
This is Woo New, the podcast.
Welcome back to Woo New. This is our second episode in our Reiki mini-series. And today, our interview is with Susanna Peace Lovell, who's a life coach for special needs families and a master Reiki practitioner. And she just so happens to be the sister of Sid Yang, who we talked to in episode 1. So Susanna actually has a special place in our hearts too, because she played a huge part in our development after we left our careers to start Daughters. And she and her sister had put together a flow event last year that really helped to open up my eyes in seeing some of the healing that I really needed and that I ended up progressing with over this course of the year. She was also Sam's first ever Reiki experience.
Yeah, that was so amazing. It was definitely the first time ever that I knew energy healing was real, which was a total game changer for me because I was definitely somebody who needed to experience it. And I had a lot of skepticism before we started this whole journey. So Susanna really changed the game.
Yeah. And to see the way she uses it too in her life coaching with her clients is just so unique and so different than her sister and some of the other Reiki practitioners we've had a chance to talk to. So we were really excited to be able to sit with her and really understand her relationship to Reiki, how she practices it, how she even came up into it through her journey. She was very much going through postpartum depression when the Reiki found her, as all of our
experiences will prove.
That's been a sort of like a through line through all of these interviews, is that they didn't seek out the Reiki. It was the Reiki that found them, which I find so interesting.
Yeah. When you're ready, the teacher will appear. Yeah, it was amazing. And I think a huge testament to Reiki in itself, in that, like Sid, you'll see what a light Susanna is and how inspirational she is and what incredible things can happen when you open up your mind and you're open to new experiences, especially with energy healing.
Here's Susanna.
I am a lot of things. I do a lot of things. I try to be a lot of things, but my purpose in this life is really tied to work with special needs families in particular. And I do that in a sort of a variety of modalities. So I teach, I coach one-to-one, I do trainings, I do all kinds of awareness, promotional events. I'm a blogger, I'm writing a memoir. In addition to that, I'm also a Reiki practitioner. So all of those pieces, I'm also a mother, actually most importantly, because this is how my journey began really, to a 12-year-old daughter who is on the autism spectrum. And so my life has become very meshed and balanced with all the different pieces with regard to my actual lived experience and then helping other families like myself.
When did you discover Reiki along this journey? Because I know we've talked to you before and we got your whole full backstory.
So Reiki, interestingly, I would have to take a little step further backward in that, my cultural background is Taiwanese. So I was raised here in the United States, but had a very strong cultural upbringing with regard to my Taiwanese heritage and often visiting Taiwan. And so my sort of introduction into energy and balance with regard to the body was through acupuncture. And so acupuncture to me is very, very similar to the way that Reiki works.
We were literally just talking about
this debate at dinner on Tuesday night.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
A debate, though.
It was I was trying to we were talking about testing. Can you test Reiki? Can you measure Reiki? Can you actually
is there
scientifically prove Reiki works,
Yes. That's a good question. And we can definitely jump into that too. But I would say, I used to describe Reiki, and sometimes I still do, in that it's like acupuncture without the needles.
Yes.
For me.
Yeah.
Okay.
For me, in my experience.
Yeah. Okay.
And I have been so I'm 45 years old, it is 2019, right? So when I was a young child growing up in Orange County, I suffered from crazy migraines, and there was really like no help inside. I'm sure I had some allergy to something, but nobody knew we didn't really talk about those kinds of things. And my dad, in his wisdom, was like, well, let's just start you doing some acupuncture, because nothing else seems to be helping. And back then, acupuncture was not popular. No one knew about it. And so, I went to go see this acupuncture doctor in, like Westminster, in this old dirty room. And, and I would get
Chinese,
typical Chinese
kind of like clinic.
Yeah, very, very much. So, he didn't speak English very well. And then he gave me all these stinky herbs to take that my dad would boil up after sessions. But my migraines dissipated completely.
Wow.
Completely went away. And
was it immediate, or was it like over just like a short amount of time?
It was definitely not a lengthy period of time. But I would say after like probably 5 to 10 treatments.
Wow.
And my dad took me consistently, needles. I was like, 9 years old, 10. It was just a very foreign situation, but my migraines were debilitating.
Were they putting needles in your head?
Everywhere.
Okay,
Yeah.
lines. Okay.
Yeah, everywhere. And the biggest challenge for me was laying still on that table, thinking, what happens if an earthquake strikes? I was
Seriously.
just, Southern California, earthquakes were, fairly common. It was pretty immediate. And so at that point, I was like, okay, well, this is just my go-to. And I was 10. Wow. And, people didn't even know the word acupuncture, really. So in Orange County, where I grew up, it was, just not that common.
That was what was considered woo-woo and weird and different.
Totally like who? You're going to go see some witch doctor? What is in that pot? I'm like, it's not body parts. It's like some really amazing, magical, sometimes hallucinogenic herbs that helped.
Wow.
But nothing else did. Western medicine did not help. So that was my introduction into the world of like, your body being in balance and the power that your body has within, once it is within balance, to just take on the world.
Wow.
So I start with the Reiki question by bringing up acupuncture, because for me, I think that if I had not had that experience with acupuncture, Reiki would be a little bit more foreign. I'm sure Reiki would still find its way to me. That's just how it works. But I also think that I was already open, because I understood how the flow of energy needed to work within my body.
And so,
to help.
Where, I guess, were you driven to a certain point when you started to look for Reiki, or was it almost kind of one of those like serendipitous occasions where they really found you?
Yeah, and I think really if you talk to most Reiki practitioners, that's usually what the course of events is. Reiki just follows you around, taps you on the shoulder, and is like, it's time. So in my case specifically, my older sister is a Reiki master teacher, and she probably introduced Reiki to me, not directly, but indirectly, in that I was sort of paying attention to what she was doing in her life and noticing some pretty significant shifts in her energy, in the flow of how things were going in her life, some softness about her. And I was just like, wait, what's happening over here? My big sister, we used to fight like cats and dogs growing up. And so she introduced me to her Reiki teacher, because I was like, this is, I think, a modality that would be helpful in my own healing process. So I actually started getting Reiki treatments done years ago by this amazing woman named Beth. And she had a practice in Glendale. And, it's a little bit of a trek of where I live now in West LA, but I would, go to her religiously. And I didn't know what I was doing. I just remember just laying on the table, being completely open, to receive whatever, sort of flow, balance, insight, anything that came up. I mean, she was very intuitive, and she had just a way of like sort of reading my energy and knowing what I needed. So my interest in Reiki was like, how can it help me? And really I had zero interest in learning it for myself.
How old were you then, and what were you going through that made you even want to go do
So, yes. Well, I think that was probably 7 to 10 years ago. I don't, time is such a blur. I was definitely a mother already. So my impetus back then as a new mother, so my daughter's 12 now, so maybe this was like 10 years ago, maybe 9, somewhere around there, was that I went through a very, very, very deep, dark bout with postpartum depression and anxiety together. And so I was just desperate to find any kind of help in any way, form, shape or form, whether it was through Western medicine or through random therapies or exercise or, chanting or journaling or whatever it was. So when my sister was telling me about Beth, I thought, okay, I'm in. Let me try. I'm going to try everything because I'm so miserable. I don't know what to do with myself. And so it was that.
Did you try that in tandem with Western medicine, like more cognitive behavioral therapy or talk therapy?
Yes, for sure. Although I will say that the therapist / counselor / spiritual guru / whatever you want to call my lady, Susie Lula, she's not a traditional, she studied spiritual psychology, but, she doesn't have like a PhD. She's not a doctor. So everything to me has always been connected to
Eastern medicine.
Yeah, the spiritual side of things and understanding. I did go see one psychiatrist one time.
Like a traditional psych, like
traditional
talk
psych
therapy.
Yeah, talk therapy. And he talked to me for an hour, but really was just like throwing questions at me and then just like, staring at his laptop and like typing in the answers to whatever there was no connection. There's no conversation. There's certainly no healing for me. And then after we left, he gave me a piece of paper with like 2 prescription drugs on it. And I walked out of his office, teared up the paper, threw it in the trash.
Wow.
Because there was and I didn't even know what the medication was. I couldn't even tell you. I'm sure it was some sort of antidepressant but I don't know what it was. All of that to say, my postpartum depression was so bad that I needed Western medication. And I got that through my OBGYN. I got that through my general practitioner, but not through a therapist.
Gotcha.
So what was your first experience of Reiki like?
Well, I was like, I don't know, I think I'm just going to lay down on this table and take a nap. I didn't know what to expect at all. I was like, is she going to like physically touch me? Is she not going to touch me? She had a bunch of crystals that she placed in different places around my body. But the biggest thing I think for me was she was like, just relax, just relax. There's nothing for you to do. We're here to support the universal sort of life energy, which is what Reiki stands for. So I just remember thinking, I'm just open. I'm an open vessel to receive whatever is meant for me to receive. And that was just my very crystal clear intention. And for whatever reason, I just felt great afterwards.
Did you see colors? Did you feel anything?
I saw colors at different, points of time. But, it was, to me, it was never anything really significant. It was just very subtle. I just remember feeling like, I feel better.
Like peaceful?
Yeah, I feel better today.
Wow.
And even if I felt like shit, the 7 days leading up to my next appointment or however I had scheduled the appointment, I just remember feeling like, okay, I am, feeling okay right now. Yeah. So it's worth it for me to feel okay
so
for
I know
like
I
5
can
minutes.
Get back there for however long.
For however long.
Yeah.
Were you meditating back then or anything like that? Or
so so to me, acupuncture, Reiki, right? So there's a fine line between prayer and meditation for me. So I grew up learning how to pray. And I learned how to pray in a very Christian sense, praying to God, praying to my Lord Jesus. And to me, that is still very real for me. I don't adhere to some of the same, practices and traditions, and I don't have like a specific like place of worship that I go to, but so for me, so like prayer and sitting still has always been sort of the same. Yeah, synonymous in that you're just like, you have an intention, and sometimes that intention is just to like ask for what it is that I need to receive today.
It's a surrender.
It's a surrender.
Yeah,
and a receiving.
Yeah, I feel the same way because I grew up Christian too, and even though I'm non-religious now, and I would consider myself, I guess, more spiritual, quote unquote.
Yes.
There's still that sort of, I guess, foundation that's there. So I find myself oftentimes in meditation, just like, what am I supposed to learn? Give me what I'm supposed to learn. I don't know.
We don't know.
Yeah.
Just tell me then. Yeah. I'm here. Tell me what to do.
Yeah.
So in terms of like officially traditional meditation, I think there were definitely pieces of that. I think it would look very much the same if I called it meditation or prayer, but definitely like the quiet moments, the intention of like, let me just have this silent time to focus on, turn everything else off. Everything else around me is not going, and let me go inward.
Do you feel like that helped the Reiki kind of be more successful, or do you see that as two separate things?
No, I think everything is intertwined. I mean, for me, it's all a mishmash. Like, it's like a big cauldron of, for lack of a better word, of just all of the different pieces that have, made me the way that I am today, and the way that I'm able to connect with people, and the way that I'm able to connect with my child, and the way that I can, do business and things like that. So, yeah, it's all connected.
How long were you actually receiving Reiki before you even got that little like,
I
want to learn?
Well, and so there was steps, a lot of steps there too. I want to say I was probably getting Reiki treatments on myself for at least a year, maybe 2. Until at least.
Okay.
Yeah, drive to Glendale and then stop at Porto's after.
Of course.
Cuban food. Yum. That was the perk. And then, so I would say it finally got to the point where I was like, you know what? I would be really, really... during my Reiki sessions, I also learned that you could also do Reiki on yourself. So I was like, okay, well, I for sure need to have this in my toolbox, because I am mostly with myself as opposed to with my Reiki teacher, Reiki master,
right,
who is working on me.
Then you can use it whenever you need it. Yeah.
Yes. So, and at this time, my sister was already a Reiki master, and she had partnered up with another Reiki master named Scott Smith, who actually I have a session with him tomorrow. So I see him now often. Beth actually moved to the East Coast. So I see Scott at least once a month. Phenomenal teacher and Reiki practitioner. And so I just remember they were talking about different workshops they had coming up, and they had a Reiki 1 workshop that was like a day-long workshop with certification. And I thought, okay, this will be great to get my sort of dip my toe in the water and learn how to tap into this healing modality for myself. Because I was still really, really, again, even though I had all kinds of support, including Western prescription medication, I still was very much in my anxiety and depression postpartum. And postpartum, by the way, is not just right after you have your baby. It's like any time after you have given birth. I mean, it can go on for years, which it did for me. Up and down, up and down, up and down. So I was like, I need something else to help me, And so I did. I learned how to do self-Reiki in that first Reiki 1 workshop. And I was like, okay, cool, I'm good.
Was it like a day?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a day, and other people were there, and it was very hands-on. We shared our experiences. We just learned so much. It was very much a community class. And then we, got attuned to Reiki 1, and it was amazing. And we had learned these sort of basic like self-healing techniques during that workshop. And the calling was to commit to, doing a certain number of days. How about we all like do a week of self-healing post-class? And I did my self-healing treatments for 60 days straight. Oh, wow. And I was like, I feel just my baseline was like here now. Like it was just a little bit higher. Wow. And I just felt like, okay,
there's something happening.
I can do this.
Yeah.
Like I can do this life. I can figure that. I don't even have to figure it out. Like I can do this. And it was very, very helpful for me. So never had the intention to do Reiki on anyone else or be a practitioner.
That was just after Reiki 1.
Correct. And then it wasn't until maybe a year or a year and a half later that, and again, Stephanie and Sid and Scott, the master teachers, were also teaching, Reiki 2, which is a 2-day workshop and much more hands-on. So you're like, actually doing treatments on the other students in the class or the teachers. And I just thought, might as well. Might as well learn. And so I did, again, but without the intention of actually becoming a practitioner myself. Mm-hmm. And actually, in many ways, I still don't consider myself an official practitioner, even though I actually get more referrals and calls to do Reiki than any other part of my practice, which is pretty vast. Coaching, writing, teaching, whatever it is. But I get more referrals and calls for people who want Reiki.
How did your parents receive all of this when your sister decided to start exploring Reiki, and then when you were learning, were they open to it?
They don't understand it. Yeah, they don't understand it. To me, I had to explain it very much in terms of it's a healing modality, right? They at first were like, what is this kind of witchcraft, sorcery? I'm like, well, no, that's not what it is. And actually a little over 2 years ago, I was in Taiwan with my dad and we were visiting my grandmother, who was elderly at the time. She has since passed, but she was 96 years old at the time. And I just had this like very, very strong calling to do Reiki on my grandmother. Now, one of the things about sort of the Reiki precepts and principles are that you need permission from who you're going to be. I mean, you can certainly send like love and light to anyone you want to, but in terms of like, can I give you Reiki? Can I do some Reiki? And so I asked her, I don't know if she understood, but, and I do a form of Reiki that is more touch Reiki. So I use
hands-on.
I'm very hands-on, and that's just sort of what naturally has flowed for me, and no one taught me any specific way, and she was open to it. And I just remembered she was sitting there on her lounge chair in the living room. There were a million people in the living room, and I just started doing Reiki on her. And my dad was kind of laughing. He's like, if whatever you're doing works, then maybe she'll fall asleep. And I was like, she's already asleep, Dad. She was just very peaceful, and something shifted in that visit for sure. But it was a powerful thing to be able to like take care of my amma in that way. And so I just remember thinking like, I'm not really sure what I'm doing, but I'm just going to be.
So when you say something shifted, did it shift with your relationship with her, or did her energy shift visibly?
She has, for sure, and I'm not, claiming any sort of accolade for this. I don't think it was because of it. I think it was, I'm sure, because of just energy in general, but she has definitely had a big softening before she passed. Wow. Big, huge shift. But I think that could have also just been, over time. She was almost 98 when she passed. And, maybe that just is something that comes with being of older age. I'm not sure exactly what. But it was definitely palpable. I mean, everyone talks about it. Wow. Including my dad. Yeah.
So he was almost like, maybe not fully convinced, but knew that something at least was
something, and it could have just been our visit that for whatever reason,
In your own words, just because we've been asking everybody this, and it's been very difficult to understand, especially for somebody who's never experienced
Reiki. Never had the experience. Yeah.
How would you personally describe it in your own words, and like take us through what a Reiki session actually is with you, the way you practice it?
Okay. So I I actually think the word healing is sort of a misnomer. That's why I don't like to say Reiki healer. I like to say Reiki practitioner, in that I believe that I'm not healing you. I feel like Reiki is sort of an activation of the power within and the energy within that we all have to heal ourselves. For me, Reiki is all about two things: energy and intention. So you have the balance of this energy flow, and then you're also having an intention of what it is that you're seeking out. It could be physical relief, it could be emotional relief, it could be balance, it could be I would like some more joy in my life. Whatever it may be, if there is an intention within someone, even if it's so deep-rooted that they don't even know exactly how to articulate it, something will be activated by a Reiki session. And for me, I do table work. So I set up a table. I have a massage table. I do have some powerful crystals that I like to use in conjunction with sessions, but it just really depends on the person and what is sort of calling for that person's need in that particular moment. And every session for me is completely different. So I don't have like a routine other than somebody comes to see me. And I typically do in-person sessions. There is on occasion a situation where I'll do like a remote Reiki session, but I prefer in person because of my touch aspect. So I will just basically have a sense, scan the body, and the Reiki takes over. Like, I have no plan other than you're going to be on my table for this particular period of time.
Do you start off with like talk at all, or conversation, or do you kind of, or does it vary?
It totally varies. I've had situations where I've started a coaching session, just like a talk, coaching session, and then it's just very obvious that someone will just need a little Reiki, and I'll even do Reiki, like someone will be sitting on my couch and I can just start doing some Reiki on them. It really depends. It's all just very flowy. Typically I like to, check in with somebody. How are you doing? What's coming up for you? How are you feeling? And other times people just, are tapped out and they just want to, feel better. So I'm like, okay, so, and if I know, especially if I, have had multiple sessions with them or have a relationship with them, it's come get on my table, relax. Let me put on, whatever feels. I have one client who just only wants to hear rain sounds. So I have a whole playlist of different kinds of rains, tropical forest rain, but it's so soothing for him. And so it just really depends on how the energy is flowing that day.
Do you find that there's like trends among your clients? Like, is it anxiety that they're coming to you for, or is there something specific that the Reiki is really, really helping with? Definitely.
I would say anxiety for sure is definitely a common thread in sort of life in general these days, of just the unknowns and the fear of what's next. And I think also too, as we get older, there's like some more responsibility that we have toward having to figure things out and be an adult, and that's hard. I definitely have had clients who have had like specific like physical issues happening with them. For example, I had one person I worked on specifically around sleep and insomnia, and that was actually very effective for him. And again, I'm not thinking that I'm really doing anything other than being present with you and, calling in the Reiki to do whatever the Reiki needs to do.
Yeah.
So when you went to your Reiki classes and your workshops, did you learn how to do the table practice specifically?
For the most part, like I would say definitely we got to practice with other individuals laying on tables, but in terms of like how the Reiki showed up for each of us was really completely different. So again, I just wanted to touch people. And, I always ask, of course, if touch is okay for clients, and 100% of the time it is for everyone who has showed up for me. It can look so different to so many different people. But for me, the Reiki just comes through my palms, my fingers. You know, I was a classically trained pianist for the majority of my life, and so my fingers are very, very strong, and I just feel like they've always been an amazing portal. Yeah, exactly. No, exactly. Yeah. And so those touch points and through my palms, I mean,
your hands are very, very sensitive.
Yeah, right? My hands are very, very, very sensitive.
When you're practicing on somebody, do you actually feel the flow of energy kind of going through you?
Yeah, very often, yes, for sure, which is why it's so, so, so important after each session. Even if it's like a phenomenal, amazing, uplifting, joyful session, you're not clearing it. There's no sort of dark stuff that you're clearing out of the way. You still have to clear everyone's energy off of you after each session. And we often forget to do that, I think, because we're so in the moment, and then we start talking to someone after the session, and then maybe later on in the day you're like, oh, all of a sudden your like energy is zapped, or you feel sluggish, or you feel something, feel a feeling, you're like, oh, I never wiped off. I never cleaned off from that person's energy. So it's just practice, and it takes time. Now I never forget. But even sometimes too, even if I'm having a conversation with somebody that I feel, yes, and I'm holding on to that energy, I also do a quick clearing.
This is actually something that I feel like, whether you choose to, go through Reiki 1 and want to learn it, or I actually feel like energy clearing is super helpful for just the normal everyday person who, Sam and I think we've had a few, just recently, like situations where I think both of us, like afterwards, we're just feeling like, why are we so tired? Just like really fatigued and tired,
Like that is one in particular, I remember walking away and just looking at Ellen and just giving this like huge, exasperated like exhale, just like, oh my God.
Yeah. Like it's like somebody just like so heavy. A couple of weights on
so
you.
Heavy. Yeah. But I think also in tandem with that is the fact that we have also been doing all of these therapies, and so we're much more focused on our energy now too, and so we're probably more sensitive to it than we used to be.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. Like a lot more open, and probably are sort of intaking a lot of that
without
energy.
without even realizing it, which is why I'm feeling like, oh my God, Reiki's so important, because you have to have something that like lets you release that
and ground yourself back.
Which is also, in aside from the clearing and the wiping off after a treatment, there is also, during the session, a release that needs to be happening on my end too. And that comes out in different forms. So like I breathe out. So I'll just like, get rid of something as it's, just so there's the constant flow and it's not just being held in here and within me. My Reiki master who worked on me, Beth, it would come out in the form of burping. So she would
No way.
Yeah, and she would, I think, I'm trying to remember if she told me that before our
that would
first
be such
session.
a funny experience. I would be like, oh my God.
Well, I just remembered us laughing about it, because I think she did not tell me before the first session. And I was like, maybe, I don't know. Maybe she ate something. Right, but it bothered me the slightest, like not at all. And then I think maybe before the second session or third, she was just explaining to me more about the Reiki, like, when I'm burping, I'm actually, releasing the energy. Really? And so then we were just like laughing so hard, because I'm like, well, at least it wasn't from the other end.
That's like the first time I've ever heard that. That's really fascinating.
Yeah, because it has to
go somewhere.
And again, it's just one of those things where you can't decide to plan. Like, she didn't want that to be the case for her, but she just was like, well, this is the way my body just releases.
So what you're explaining actually makes a lot of sense, because I just went through my first Reiki 1 and 2 course.
Ooh,
and it was
exciting.
It's kind of like you, where I'm like, I'm just really curious, and I just want to learn and understand it a little bit more. The positions, the hands. So I got attuned to 1 and 2.
Great.
And my second attunement was like a crazy experience, but it seems to me like there really isn't a universal sort of thing, but the way you learn is a little bit more universal. Would you say that?
I would think so. I mean, there is, sort of a set history of Reiki. There's a sort of set idea of like Reiki modality of training, but I have only been to the trainings that I've been to, Reiki 1, Reiki 2, and then I did master training with my sister. But what's interesting is that I have gone back to sit in on the Reiki 1 and 2 workshops just as an additional like master trainer, master in training. And every single class was different. I learned something new every single time.
And these are with different people?
Different people. No, but always with my sister and Scott as the trainers, but different workshops. I would come back and be an apprentice in those trainings.
So this is where our debate stemmed, because in essence we both understood Reiki as acupuncture, but the Reiki practitioner is in essence the conduit replacing the needles. But my point, what we were debating about was like acupuncture is much farther ahead, obviously, as a modality of treatment than Reiki, and I was coming at it from a totally different angle than Ellen was, because my understanding was like, well, you can test the physiological responses from acupuncture, and there's more research. It's a little bit more studied in a traditional scientific sense than Reiki, and I just don't even know how you would test Reiki scientifically. I mean, other than potentially hooking up the practitioner and the client with things that would help you track their heart rates and stuff like that. But even then, you could only determine anecdotally what was happening. You could never determine fully causation.
So I would ask you to think about what you just said about the physiological response. So you could actually test for both.
That's what I'm saying, though.
Is that
you
saying?
Can't test causation. You can't prove causation, scientifically speaking, as we understand that. Whereas acupuncture is just inherently has more research behind it. And so it's hard. We were trying to understand sort of where all of these treatments fall on the spectrum of sort of deep mystical Eastern medicine and sort of the individual modalities that are making their way into Western culture as more normalized treatments for people who come from very much a Western medicine world.
Yes. And I guess one way to look at it too is that, for acupuncture, I mean, now, certainly this was not the case 30 years ago, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
But, in my insurance covers acupuncture, at least a big percentage of it. Reiki, I will say, is definitely becoming more of a respected treatment practice in various areas. So, for example, there are a lot of, Reiki practices that are occurring now in hospitals. So,
Ellen mentioned that, and I was like, oh my God, what a cool thing. I was like, you could actually be a Reiki surgeon.
Surgery. Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, well, I haven't heard of that, but I haven't heard of that. That's amazing.
That was what
they're not actual surgeons, I don't think, from what we were reading, but they're in the room.
Surgeons who are tuned to Reiki?
Okay,
that would be phenomenal.
That's just a double dose.
In the room while the surgery is happening.
Yeah, so I can, so maybe I have heard of that. I just didn't know the term Reiki surgeon. But
and that's we should clarify too for anyone who's listening. That's not a technical term. That was like a headline on an article.
But I understand that. Yeah. So for sure I can see that, and that is, I actually know someone who goes to hospitals and does Reiki treatment.
Oh wow! And they make rounds, or
they just make rounds. Yeah. Yeah. So just depending on whoever the
really
particular
amazing.
Patient is and what their needs are. And if they're open to it, again, there needs to be, some sort of okay with it. But we'll see. I mean, we'll see what happens in 10 years and 15 years and 20 years. I mean...
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it is just that maybe we don't have the technology yet. I mean, because we were talking about it also in tandem with meditation, because meditation now is just becoming, like acupuncture, a more formalized Western type of healing modality, if you will.
Yes.
But we just now are starting to have access to the technology where we can even understand what happens in your brain when you go into a deep meditative state.
Yes.
But that science is causing a much more formalized adoption of that healing or that practice.
And I'm sure it makes a lot of people feel much more comfortable. I think in general,
to have it tested and legitimized and stuff.
Sure. Yeah.
Well, yesterday we were just talking to a PhD licensed therapist who has obviously the traditional psychology studying and went to grad school for it. However, she's now ventured into energy psychology, which is, and there's like so many terms for this stuff that it's like, that in itself gets really confusing. And what does energy psychology actually entail? Like what's the umbrella cover and all that stuff. Yeah. So we were like grilling her about like, does Reiki fall in there? Does where are the boundaries of that? You know?
Yes.
But it's a very young but growing field, obviously. But young is almost kind of a misnomer too, because
it's very old. Yeah, we're coming back to it.
Yeah, they're all ancient or indigenous type practices that are just now coming to be re-recognized again. But she was actually saying something really interesting about how when psychology first began, it was very much
not accepted.
Well, she was saying it was very much about the mind-body connection. They recognize that connection. And so it's almost like through the research,
through the studies,
all the science, having to back it up, that's when we lost that kind of connection. And it became very much like, well, whatever can be measured, that's
correct.
way,
Correct. Yes.
So,
oh, that's so fascinating.
Yeah, it's really interesting. So, I mean, we're just like super excited about digging into this because I feel like we come out of every interview with a bazillion other
more questions.
But,
yeah, and that's, I think that's part of Reiki too, where you're just constantly learning. I can't imagine. I actually still don't feel like I know what I'm doing. And I mean, I definitely feel confident, but I also feel like I'm not an expert.
Who knows, right?
Who knows?
You're just holding space for a person and being that vessel and channeling the energy. That's kind of how I feel too, because like last night I was just like, okay, sending Reiki out to these, we just delivered some boxes for this particular project, which we'll talk about later because it's not sanctioned yet. But and so in my mind, I was sending Reiki to the boxes and out to the women that were going to receive them,
Amazing.
And I'm like, in my mind going, I have no idea if this is doing jack shit, but but I have this belief that I want to send this positive energy out, and I have the intention to do so.
Yes, that's right.
And that's all I can really
It's just so funny because I literally went through the same process the morning before right before we delivered them yesterday. That was. And I was like, I smudged them with sage, I smudged them with palo. I was like, bring it the love, give it the love.
And that's it. That's exactly it. I mean, I don't know how many times I don't know if you have learned a lot of the symbols, but like the chokurei.
Yes, chokurei.
I will chokurei an email to death, like right before I'm about to send it. I have a request or I mean, I Reiki, this home that we're sitting in right now, we just closed escrow on last week. And the process has been like pretty epic in terms of just, 3 offers over asking within, 10-day period. And I attribute that a lot to just the energy in this home and the fact that I have continued to Reiki this home. And you'll notice, crystals placed strategically, big chunk of selenite in my living room. But just, I had to Reiki my house before each time we had an open house or private viewings, and then Reiki after, because I wanted the energy to be released, but I also wanted the house to be ready for whoever, right?
Yeah.
So Reiki to me is like an all day, it's a lifestyle. It's a life practice. It's, whether I never had another client again coming to see me for Reiki, I would still consider myself to be an active Reiki practitioner in life, and certainly on myself all the time. And it's so like easy to know, like I can just tap into this real quick while I'm sitting here in the waiting room or in line at Costco or wherever it is that I just need a little
boost.
Like get me through this. Can I please? Yes.
Yeah. It's like mindfulness is a tool. Meditation is a tool. All those things. Loving kindness practices is a tool. But yeah, I'm starting to see it that way. And who knows, I may not ever get to the Reiki Master studies or anything like that, but I do feel like it's making me a lot more conscious about my energy and protecting it and doing all the things I need to do, the symbols and everything, to just ground myself. And,
Yes.
Have you ever had any particularly interesting clients come to you where Reiki the experience was just like, you'll never forget it?
My sort of experiences in treating others has been pretty, from my perspective, I haven't noticed anything insane. But what clients will tell me later is like, oh my gosh, after that session, X, Y, and Z happened. And then doors, I think I would say like sort of one of the things that happens a lot is that doors start to open for people. So that's sort of a generalized statement.
Yeah.
I had one client actually for a long time, and it was an interesting situation because her brother paid me. And so initially, and I was doing coaching with her, but Reiki always comes into every session in some way, shape, or form, whether or not they're on my table, or because there's constant like exchange of energy and balance. And so he wanted a certain outcome for her life, right? She wanted a different outcome for her life.
Wow.
And he paid me. So I'm like, I don't know if this sort of energetic contract is going to work, because I'm just here to help her with her life.
It's like,
and I know,
not up to him or her.
Yeah, and I know that you want A, B, C, D to happen in order for this to be sort of a successful exchange. But I will say, like, today, I was just thinking about this yesterday. I was like, wow, her life is exactly as she wanted it to be.
Wow.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Like what her intention was
correct.
coming into it.
I, quote, quote, was not successful in getting her to do A, B, C, D per her brother's requests. And I have to say, like, to me, that is exactly what Reiki is supposed to be doing, right?
Yep.
So she is living this life of this, and she's in it. She's doing it, right? So, does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
it's really not up to our will in some way.
So I guess what I would say to that is, like, was I a successful like life coach for her? Right? He and I have a great relationship with him, and all is lovely and good. But did I check off all the boxes for what he wanted her life to look like? No, the opposite. But guess what? Her life is exactly how she wanted it to look like. She is thriving. She is happy. She is connected to her greater purpose. All of these other things.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what we have to like say, okay, so what is a measurement for success? I mean, I don't know.
I mean, I think that's a huge testament, though, to your earlier point about how it's a combination of not just energy flow and charge, but intention.
Yes, exactly. Well,
so as somebody who, if I go to get a Reiki session with a practitioner, what I bring to the table is what's going to very likely manifest. So we did, again, another testament to just how cautious you have to be of your own energy.
Oh yeah. Also, and of the Reiki practitioner too, right? Like, how would you recommend somebody finding a practitioner?
That's interesting. That's a great question.
Just because it is. I remember a friend of ours, a common friend of ours. She mentioned that she was starting to study Reiki with a woman, and there was a couple of other opportunities for her to go, and do Reiki with other people. But she's like, I don't want anybody messing with my energy that I don't know, and it stopped me because I'm like, oh shit, I just like went to all these different people without knowing who they are, and I just,
a second thought about it.
Yeah.
So that's where you have to just trust that the Reiki is for you. So it's about your intention. Their energy is for them to work out with the universe. You might feel like a certain way, like after having an experience with somebody that maybe was like, not a good fit. But you are safe, it is your intention of how the Reiki is going to be working for you. And again, so you can connect with people and not connect with people, and, I hesitate to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. Like, no one has that sort of power, right?
Yeah. Because the energy isn't coming from you. It's coming from this universal life force. And through you, you're not necessarily a healer. You are a channel, or you're a vessel, or you're a practitioner.
Yes, I'm here to help you activate. That's it. You already have all of the tools you need. You have all the ingredients already. So I'll be here to be of service, but really, I'm not doing anything other than holding space for you to be here in this moment with me while I just see what happens with the Reiki.
Yeah.
So
That's really cool.
Yeah. I just, all the negative, energy stuff, no thank you. We just reject that. I mean, I believe it's that simple.
How much of it do you believe is also just pure belief in this energy?
Well, probably 99%. Yeah. So you just believe it. You just believe it. I just believe that this is going to help. I just believe that I will have some guidance. I just believe that things are going to happen to connect me with the next thing that I'm meant to be doing. It's like that movie Slumdog Millionaire. It's where like all these little pieces happen throughout your life to come together in a moment where you're like, oh, now it's making sense. I'm answering all of these questions. So for me, it's just nothing is happenstance. I mean, just everything, the flow of every relationship I've ever had, I can probably account to this universal life force of energy, which I now know is Reiki. It's pretty phenomenal. And, I do Reiki on my daughter. She has decided she's learning Reiki too. And so
That's
she
amazing.
hasn't been necessarily attuned, but she again, energy and intention.
Yeah.
So it's about believing.
That's incredible. I can't wait to see Arizona become a little Reiki master.
Oh, yes. No, she's ready. I mean, she did Reiki on one of my friends the other day, and her headache went away.
Wow.
Zero lie.
I was telling
Wow.
Sam, this is, again, I'm believing, so that's why I'm practicing and doing all the, going through the motions of it, but I was doing Reiki on my back. I was just envisioning myself in front of me and doing Reiki on my back because it was just hurting from the position I was sitting in, and it didn't go away immediately, but it was weird. It was within 5 minutes when I kind of cleared whatever was going on and then did my loop of other body parts and areas or whatever, I suddenly noticed oh my gosh, it's literally gone, so
right.
It was my first sign okay, there's something to
the awareness,
this, and then
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think actually that's a really great point because for me, even I've never taken a Reiki workshop, but I have done Reiki with you, Susanna. And I was definitely on the fence about, certainly if you had asked me a year or two ago, and I remember one of my friends started dating his Reiki practitioner, and I remember my response was, oh my God, that's such a crock of shit. I was like, oh, this is so stupid.
Yes.
But then I came here, and I think so 90% of it is the willingness to be open to experience whatever is going to happen because I know without a doubt in my mind Reiki is real from that one session. That was I was like, oh my God, I have no idea what happened, but what I saw while I was on the table was life-changing because you cannot deny it once you have that experience, and I think it's just the openness and the willingness to try it so that you can experience it yourself if you never have, to decide for yourself if it's something that can help you, because the fact of the matter is it's there.
Yes. Yeah.
Whether you acknowledge it or not.
Yes.
Yeah. I think that's why it's so important just to believe, trust, open, surrender to it, whatever word you want to use there. But
but even if you're at a point where you can't believe yet, just be open to whatever it is. And that will get you to believe. I will stand behind that 1,000%.
Yeah. What has been really, really helpful to me, other than just, the self-practices that I, routinely do, is there are just some basic precepts with Reiki. And for me, if I get into a spin, a tizzy, a panic attack, whatever it is, I just remember some of these. And it's very simple. It's just for today, do not worry. Just for today. Just for today, do not be anxious. Just for today. And so if you can just sort of be in that moment with those little precepts, even that is just like it can bring you back to the moment. It can just, and then guess what? You can say tomorrow, just for today.
Yeah.
I will not worry.
Yeah.
So, it's been very transformative for me, and I am just in this flow of whatever is meant to come next for me. I have no idea, but Reiki is legit. It is so real. It has been so real for me. Yeah. And I will never back down from that.
If you'd like to learn more about Susanna, you can find her at susannapeacelovell.com, SUSANNA, Peace Lovell, LOVELL.com, and on Instagram at Mama Peace.
Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, take a little time and review and rate us. It helps us a lot, and it helps us continue doing what we're doing with this podcast.
Thanks, guys. We love you.
Music provided by Chromatics, courtesy of the Italians Do It Better record label.